Hey all, in this video we are going to understand or learn the basics of ifelse. For that I'm going to navigate to desktop and create a file called basics of ifelse, and then navigate to basics of ifelse and open the same in VS Code. Basically, in our C programs, whenever we wanted to write some decision making logic, we'll be either using if else or switch, depending on the business logic. Particularly, you'll be seeing in ATM machines, when you go to draw the money, you'll be asked or popped up, many options will be popped up there. You want to know the balance or you want to draw the money, and at the point in time you can see, based on the option that you selected, the screen changes, right? There also we can see switch statement or if else being used. We definitely not C programming language, but some programming language they've used to write that logic. So we'll be seeing this decision making mostly in all programming languages. So here we'll concentrate on if else. The syntax for if else in C language goes like this. Okay, whenever the control comes here for this if statement, it will try to evaluate the condition that you have written here, and if this condition is true, then the control comes into this block and starts executing whatever you have written here. And in case if this condition becomes false, then it will directly come to this line, that is else if condition, and again evaluate this, and if it is true, then it will get into this, and again if it is this, and again if it is false, then it will go here. If it is true, it will come here. Again if it is false, if all these conditions are false, then whatever we have written in else statement will be executed. And also we can have if else statements in a if block like this. We can have if else here, and also we can have if else here. So these are called nested ifs. Okay, and in this else if condition also we can write if condition and else condition, and depending on the logic, business logic, you can actually write or extend your if else logic accordingly. And also here in these two examples we have seen only condition, right? But there might be n number of conditions that you can actually write. Here you can see there is condition and there is another condition too, and here also you can see condition and there is another condition too. So you can have n number of conditions. Not here we can see two conditions, but you can write 3, 4, 5 conditions depending on your business logic or whatever problem you're trying to solve using C language. We'll try to understand what are these symbols. This is logical representation of OR, and this is the logical representation of AND. We'll try to understand what are they. So to understand OR and we need to have a little bit knowledge of Boolean algebra. To be specific, for this C programming language or to learn any programming language, okay, these three are mostly enough for us. So not is represented in C as exclamatory mark, and or is represented with two pipe symbols we saw in the previous slide, and is represented with two ampersand. Okay, so if there is a logical statement called P, and if P is true, then not of P, negation of P is false, and if P is false, then negation of P would be true. But in the previous slide we saw this OR operator. So let's say there are two logical statements given P and Q. If P is true and Q is true, then PRQ is also true. And if you look at this table, you can clearly understand for P or Q to be true, if either of the statements is true, then it is true. Okay, here it is true, false, true, true, and it will be false only if both the statements are false. Coming to and is different from OR, and both of the statements P and Q should be true. For P and Q should be true, in rest of the cases it is false. So if we understand this, we can write if else logic accordingly. We can write multiple statements based on OR and to meet our goal or whatever we are trying to solve using C language or C program. So now I open the VS Code, and here I'm gonna create learning if else.c file, And coming to the basic structure of C and how to read data and write data from the console, I made a separate video. You can check the description for that video link. So directly I'm gonna go write void main. So we'll try to write a simple program. Okay, greatest of two numbers, greatest of two numbers. So the program itself tells that we are supposed to read two numbers. So I'll ask the user to enter two numbers. Please enter two numbers. Okay, and I'm gonna read those two numbers into number one and number two, and I'm supposed to declare this number one and number two variables. So I'm gonna declare int number one and int number two, and here also there is a typo, printf. Okay, for printf and scanf to work, I'm supposed to actually include the standard input output header file. Okay, we are done reading two numbers from the user. Now we are supposed to write the logic. So we'll try to remember the if-else syntax from the slide, okay, that's being appeared on the screen. So now what I'm going to do is simply I'll copy paste in my code. Okay, I simply copied whatever the syntax is. Now I'll try to write the condition. What's the condition? Greatest of two numbers. For suppose the user entered 23 and 35. So 23 and 35 will be stored in number one and number two accordingly. So my condition would be if number one, if my number one is greater than my number two, it means whatever the value that is stored in the variable number one is greater than number two, then number one is the greatest. So I'll print the same, percentile d is the greatest. Okay, and what's the percentile d? I'm supposed to give number one here. Otherwise number two is greater, so I don't even need this else if condition. So directly I'll write my number two is greatest. That's it. We'll try to execute it and check the program. Okay, for that I'll open the terminal, I'll move to right, I'll compile the program, gcc learning ifelse, enter. So the code is compiled and I can see the binary file being generated. A.out, enter two numbers. I'll give 23 and 35. So 35 is the greatest. Again, the output is not clean, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put new line here so that the output would be neat. I'll give 10 and 20. 20 is the greatest. So this is how we'll use if-else condition. What if I wanted to write a program? Okay, I wanted to write a program to find out whether the given alphabet is vowel or consonant. Okay, again, for that, first of all, I need to ask the user to enter an alphabet, right? I'll ask the user to printf enter an alphabet, enter an alphabet. And then I'm going to read the same into percentile C, and I'll call it as alphabet. So I need to declare this alphabet. I'll declare it here, so it is of type character, alphabet, and now I'll write the condition here. So if, okay, if my alphabet, okay, I'll just give like this, if my alphabet equal to A, or we learned it, right, the logical or operator, we learned it, or we can also see from here condition 1 or condition 2. So if it is A or it is B, no, A, E, I, O, U, right, A, E, I'll simply copy, I'll put another or here, A, E, I, O, U, right? If it is A, I, O, U, then I need to printf. I'm supposed to print it's a vowel. Okay. Otherwise, simply else it's a consonant. Printf it's a consonant. Is my spelling correct? Consonant. Okay. We are done writing. We'll try to execute and check once. Okay. We'll compile it and we'll run it. Enter two numbers because this is also being executed. So I'll give like 14 and 15. 15 is the greatest, and here it has come and it's asking for the alphabet. I'll enter Y, and it's a consonant. Y because it's not A, E, I, O, U, right? So here the output is not coming nice. So I'll give new line here. Compile it, run it. 13, 45, 45 is the greatest. Alphabet is A. It's a vowel, and again I'll give a new line here. Okay, it's a vowel, so it's working fine. You can also add more or operations and give capital A, capital B, a capital E also. So this is how we actually write if else logic. And also there is one more thing. If you wanted to write the same if else logic using in single line, we have something called ternary operator. Ternary operator. So it is simply, if you look at the screen, it's condition. It's basically condition followed by question mark and expression 1 and expression 2. This is the syntax for that. So what I can do is simply I'll use the same logic here and put it here. Here what's the condition? Number 1 is greater than. This is a condition, and here I'll declare max, and expression 1 is nothing but if this is true, whatever is there here immediately after the question mark will be executed here, returned. The best word is like that will be returned here. Number 2, so it will be returned and stored in the variable max. So variable max, I'll printf percentile d is great. My max is now stored in max, and simply I can delete this 1 2 3 4 5 lines of code, right? And now 5 lines of code has become only 1 line. Now we'll start executing. There is no difference at all logically. Hey, it is telling condition. Okay, here we did not remove this, right? So that's why the compiler is complaining. So I'll compile it and run it, enter two numbers 25 and 26. Basically nothing has changed. Instead of if else we use ternary operator. If it is only if else we can go for ternary operator, and here also I can actually go for ternary operator. I'll give it as I'll modify it accordingly. Okay, what I'll do is simply I'll keep here, put a question mark, and then remove this if. I have to put colon here. That's it. It should basically work. Okay, it should work. I simply printing printf, it's a consonant, it's a vowel. I'll cancel this, compile it, no errors. 25 and 59 is the largest, and alphabet is P, it's a consonant, we know it. Again I'll run it. 56, 47, alphabet I'll give I, it's a vowel, it's working fantastically fine. So depending on the situation, you can either use if else or ternary operator. Thanks for watching this video. If you like the content, please like the video, share and subscribe. It will really motivate me to make more videos or similar content like this.